Hello everyone, welcome to Moe'S CD Culture Show and Tell, and today I want to show you the albums that I pretty much play the most. These are albums that, for one reason or another, especially basically within the last 5 years, I always go to these albums, but most specifically within the last year, I played at least each of these albums 3 times or more. And some of these are more recent bands or albums that I got, but I still love to play them a lot. And I'm only picking one CD per artist. They're in no particular order. And well, I'm just going to kind of get to it and explain as I go along. Now, the first band I want to present here. Now, I like playing this album called Fashion Nugget. Out of all of the cake I have, and I now have 5 albums, this is the one I go to more often than not. I just love the flow. Even though it doesn't have my favorite songs on them of the band, because my 2 favorite songs are from Prolonging the Magic, and those would be Never There and Sheep Go to Heaven. I love those songs, and when I do play that album, but for some reason, I love the entire album of this. I love the flow. I love how it starts with Frank Sinatra. The Distance is always an awesome song. And yeah, I never skip any songs. I mean, it has I Will Survive, which is probably another one of my very, very favorite songs. I love Stick Shifts and Safety Bells, Perhaps. It's really a great album. And then it also has Italian Leather Sofa, which is the theme song to that cartoon Mission Hill. And yeah, I actually like that little cartoon series. It's pretty interesting. It should have did better. They should have did more seasons. But whenever I watched those episodes, I always note that hey, it has that really cool song from Italian Leather Sofa from Fashion Nugget, Cake. So Cake is always a good. I don't know. I must have played this at least 5 times during this last year. I just keep going to it. I don't know why. Because it's such a great album. Now, the second album I want to present here, and now I could have chosen a couple of other ones, but it's Puscifer, Conditions of My Parole. I love this album. Of course, my favorite band of all time is Tool, and Maynard James Keenan is my favorite vocalist of all time. I love the range he gets to. I love the power and the passion that he does put behind his voice. And this is an album, yeah, I love to listen to very, 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 very much. Now, oddly enough, in none of my CDs that I'm present do I have a perfect circle, but as an honorable mention, I would love to mention that I do play almost interchangeably Mel Dona and the 13th Step from A Perfect Circle, because those are awesome albums. But I really haven't played them as much in the last year as I know I should, because they are great albums. And so Perfect Circle is not in this list, and it kind of should have been. But then it would have went up to top 20 or something albums. But we're just going to stick to these ones here, the ones I've chosen. Now the next one I'm presenting, and why I'm presenting this one, because I do play this a lot. I played this again at least 3 times in the last year. And it would be the Bob Mould Band live at the ATP in 2008. And why I like this, because it ranges all over Bob Mould's career, going from The Act We Act and A Good Idea, which is stuff he did with the band Sugar, which I should have also presented in my list, but I didn't. But I do love Sugar, and I play that enough. But then there's I Hate Alternate Rock, which is also solo stuff. See a Little Light solo stuff. Hoover Dam is from Sugar. Then there's Circle, that's from his solo stuff. Paralyzed solo stuff. I Apologize. I Apologize and Chartered Trips. Those are songs from Husker Du, a band that his first punk band that he started. And then there's Celebrated Summer, Makes No Sense at All, and New Day Rising, which I still think is also from Husker Du. I might be wrong about the Celebrated Summer. I think that might be Husker Du too, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I love that set list, and because it has some of the best songs from some of the better songs from the three different bands that he was, from Husker Du, from Sugar, and from his solo stuff. So that's why I pretty much always go to this. I played this at least 3-4 times in the last year. And now another band that I really love, and I could have chosen a lot of other different ones from this band, but I'm a huge fan of Belle Sebastian. And I played this more times than I like to admit. Girls in Peacetime Want to Dance. I love the songs Nobody's Empire. I like the Party Line. I like Power of Three. I like the Everlasting Muse, Perfect Couple, Play for Today, The Book of You. It's such a great album, and if you don't know any of Belle and Sebastian, this may be a great place to start. It's a little bit more dance clubbish than more of their other stuff, but it has such a beautiful variety of songs. I would almost say the Everlasting Muse is probably one of my favorite songs of is one of my I don't know, my two favorite songs is actually Nobody's Empire and Perfect Couples. I just love the flow of those songs and this whole album. And again, I have a pretty extensive collection of Belle and Sebastian. A lot of these bands I'm presenting, you can go back into my Mo CD Culture Show and Tell history and find me presenting those albums in greater detail. So that is that for that. Now this is a soundtrack that I do play this a lot, because especially since I found it about a little over a year ago, I have played this at least a half a dozen times, because it is from my favorite movie of all time, and that would be the Fight Club soundtrack. I love this soundtrack so much because it has such a great list, and on the last song, This Is Your Life, it's featuring Tyler Durden, which is of course is Brad Pitt, and it has voice samples, not necessarily from the movie. It's actually I think he recorded those voice samples specifically for that track, but it's all instrumental by the band the Dust Brothers. If you can see that here, yeah, original music. Original motion picture score, Fight Club, music by the Dust Brothers. Yeah, because it's from my favorite movie, and when I listen to this, it brings the movie back into my mind without even having to watch the movie. I would put this on before, like, to go to sleep to even, and I just love it. I play this again more times than I would have imagined myself, because I love this soundtrack out of all things. Now, speaking of more instrumental stuff, because there's no singing on this, I'm a big fan of Battles and their album La Di Da Di. I like the flow of this album. I have two other of their albums, plus kind of a special album of a couple of songs from Mirrored that has 2 videos on it that I love to watch. But as an album, I love playing La Di Da Di. Interesting art, cover art and stuff. And yeah, it's just because of the flow. It starts off with a Diaba, And then one of my favorite song on here would be .com. It's just kind of weird electronic type sounding instrumental stuff, and I can put this on and just relax to it, and it has a great flow. So I've been a big fan, but they're not my favorite songs are actually not on this. My two favorite songs are on Mirrored, and that would be, and specifically for the videos of Atlas and Tonto, which is my two favorite songs from Battles. But as a whole, from start to end, this is the album I always go to, and I played this again like at least 2 or 3 times in the last year. Now another band that, although I have another CD of this band, I've played this album at least 3 to 4 times this year because it's such a great flow. I pretty much let the whole thing play every time I do it, even though there are multiples of the songs, because one would be the album itself, and then there's bonus tracks that have live versions of some of the songs. And that would be the 30th anniversary of Arias and Symphonies by Spoons. Not the Spoons, but Spoons. And this is the band. She, okay, right here, she's the bass player of the band, and I love her bass grooves. That's what really fills out the album, is her. If it wasn't for those awesome bass, the awesome bass and the flow of this album, I probably wouldn't play it as much as I do. It really is. If you haven't heard this before, I really suggest listening to this because it really has a great flow, and it's an album I played more often than not because I just love the flow. Again, I played this maybe about at least 3 to 4 times in the last year. Now, this is a new album that I may have gotten just maybe a month or so ago. But again, I've played this at least 5 or 6 times now since I bought it. And I have to mention it here because it's super good. And that would be the Stevie Ray Vaughan's Greatest Hits with him and Double Trouble. I love the entire thing. I love how it starts off with that Beatles track, Taxman. It has Pride and Joy, Tightrope, Little Wing, specifically for Little Wing, which is amazing. It has Texas Flood. It has Crossfire. Everything on here, everything on this little Greatest Hits is awesome, superb. I can't get enough of this, and I'll probably be playing it again and again for sure because I love this stuff. Now, the next band I want to present is a little known band, and I really love all the other albums. I have 3 more albums in the collection, and again, if you want to check out the other albums from that collection, you can go back into my Moe'S CD Culture Show and Tell and find episodes where I present them. Now, a very close second would be the album. This is the group. The group is called Ogre, and it's spelled OHGR, and this is the album Undeveloped. Now, before I got this, I would play Devils in My Detail more often than not. I played that a lot because I love the flow. I love how each song kind of flows seamlessly into the next. It's like one giant long song, but it's not. I like the way this is arranged. I like the way this flows. There's a certain sound and a certain chill to this album that may not be apparent when you first listen to it. But I love this. I've played this again at least 4 to 5 times in the last year because I like the way it goes. I like the way it sounds and everything. So that is another one of another one that I play quite often. Yeah, Ogre, Undeveloped. Now, I was so happy when I found this album, and I had to get it. And again, this is an album that always has to be in my collection. There are others. Again, there's so many others I could have chose that I need to play again and play more often, but I don't. But I always come back to Urge Overkill Saturation because I love the entire thing, especially the three first songs of Sister Havana, Tequila Sunday, and Positive Bleeding. Those three songs are awesome, but not to take away from Bottle of Fur, which is also another one of my favorite songs on the album. So Urge Overkill, I played this at least 3 to 4 times in the last year, and it's an album I love to keep going back to because it just has a great flow. Now the next artist that and this is the only album I have of this artist. I will get more of his albums eventually, but this is my personal favorite album of his, and that would be Leonard Cohen, The Future. And mostly because I fell in love with this album because 3 of the songs on this is in the movie Natural Born Killers with Woody Harrelson and what's her name? Well, yeah, for some reason I know her name, but I can't think of it offhand. It'll probably come to me before I'm finished here. But yeah, it has The Future, Waiting for the Miracle, Be For Real. My favorite song and video from it is Closing Time. There's Anthem, Democracy, Light as the Breeze, Always, and Tacoma Trailer. Which, yeah, this is a fabulous album. I love Leonard Cohen. I even love his early stuff like Suzanne and so on. And yeah, this is always something I love to go through. Alright, and again, I played this at least 4 to 5 times in the last year. Now, another band that I played this compilation quite a bit, also because it has the DVD. Yeah, it would be the Singles Collection 2001 and 2011. Now, when I first bought this, it was only the CD, the collection of the music, but it has a DVD, and I'm not gonna. I would say that has to count because I do play the CD at least 2 or 3 times in the last 5 years, but in the last year I've played this at least maybe 3 to 4 times also. Because I am a big Gorillaz fan. I love all those tracks. So when I have a choice between listening to the CD or the DVD, I'll put the DVD on. Even if I'm not necessarily watching, I'll have the videos on in the background, and I'll do stuff around the house and listen just mainly to the tracks because it has some of the best stuff on there that I really love. Yeah. And I'm not going to go through the highlights because it's all pretty decent. I love everything on there. So yeah, it's the Singles Collection 2001 to 2011 of Gorillaz, and I have at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other albums that I do like to play here and there. But this is the one I always go back to because it has all the hits. Now, speaking of greatest hits. And a band that I would like Larry Graves to hear, well, an artist that I like Larry Graves to hear more of, and my next request will be one of his songs, and that would be Matthew Sweet, from 1990 to the 2000s. It's the best of. It's called Time Capsule, the best of Matthew Sweet, and this has great stuff. It starts off with Divine Intervention, I've Been Waiting, and Girlfriend from the album Girlfriend. Also has You Don't Love Me, Time Capsule, The Ugly Truth, acoustic version, Devil with the Green Eyes, Someone to Pull the Trigger, Sick of Myself, We're the Same, Where You Get Love, Until You Break, Behind a Smile, If Time Permits, What Matters, Hide, Ready, and So Far. And so, and again, I have at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 other albums in the collection. But this is always the one I go to more often than not because it has all the best songs on it. And yeah, so if you're interested in sampling Matthew Sweet and some of the best stuff that he has, this is what I would suggest you listen to get you started into the beautiful world of Matthew Sweet. I love his voice. I love his arrangement. I think he's a very underrated singer-songwriter. Absolutely, 100%. So this is I've played this again at least 3 to 4 times in the last year. More so than anything else I have, like all of these 15. Now the last two I have. Now I could have picked another one. I could have actually picked the newest one from this artist, but I'm picking this because it is my favorite album of theirs for sure, and I've played this especially in the last year since I bought this. I've played this at least 20 times, 20 or more even. I don't know why, but I love this. Even in the last 2 weeks, I must have played this at least 7 or 8 times, because I just can't get enough of it. The lyrics, the arrangements is so weird and wacky. A close second would be the girl crying in her latte, and even Kimono My House. I've played those a lot too because they're just fabulous. But I played this more than the rest of those because, yeah, if you're not familiar with this, and it may not be everybody's taste, I know it's mine and Larry Graves' taste because we love this album too just as much. Yeah, you gotta play this. You gotta try to get into this because I think it's just so spectacular, and it puts me in a good mood. It makes me happy. It makes me laugh because it's just too catchy for its own good. Anything from this band so far that I've been hearing, it's just too catchy for its own good. It's just awesome, and I think it's because that backup band, it's mostly Ron and Russell who do all the arrangements and the writing and everything. They're the front men. They're the ones that really shine in the band. But every time there's a backing band behind them, they're always top-notch players. There's some of the best bands that you need to listen to. So yeah, Sparks Propaganda. This album here is just superb. It's a masterpiece in my opinion. I love everything on this. And now, last but not least, I have to talk about my favorite band. And as much as I played in the last decade or so of Lateralus, and I played that a lot. Out of everything from this band, I played that the most. But within the last year, I've been playing this a lot. I've played this at least 20 or more times in the last year. I've played Lateralus at least 100 times since I first got it in 2001. But in the last year, specifically in the last year, and I know this is a few years old now. This is at least 3 or 4 years old now. Yeah, this I play a lot, and that would be Fear Inoculum. I even have 2 different packaging for this album, and you gotta still love how that is when it comes on. It has that video player and everything. It has the lyrics inside and everything. Yeah, I find I had mixed emotions about this album when it first came out, when I first heard it, because it didn't have the same feel and the thing that I was expecting it to have from previous albums. But it is, in its own way, it's the most relaxing. It's the most melodic, and it has, yeah, it has a certain quality that you cannot compare. I like. Is it my favorite? Is it my least favorite album? I don't know. It's pretty. Because still, regardless of how I feel about it, it's still Tool. It's still up there as some of the best music in the world for me. Because it is my favorite band. And it's something I will listen to many, 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 many times. I know this is a longer video than you probably expect to watch for this kind of subject. And I probably won't do all that well for my views and stuff, but I don't care. This is what I want to present today, and this is my video for today, and I hope people actually watch my video, because these are all 15 bands that I just presented to you. This is the last one I am presenting on this. Like I said, last but definitely not least, because I play this more than I thought I would. I keep going back to it because there is a beauty to this album that doesn't compare to the rest of them. The rest of the albums I love for completely different reasons, you know, especially Lateralus, which I still play a lot. I still played that album at least 4 to 5 times in the last year. But I played this at least 20 times in the last year or so. Again, it's an album I love to put on to go to bed. And because I will fall asleep to it, sometimes I'll have to go to the 3rd or 4th song and start from there, because I want to hear those songs too. I don't want to just keep falling asleep by the 3rd song if I started from the beginning. So yeah, I do play this way more often than I thought I would have, because I had mixed feelings about it. This keeps getting better and better and better every time I play it. So before this gets to over 30 minutes, I'm going to stop it very soon, because I do have food in the oven that I want to get to. I just heard it beeping, so I know it's ready. It can go on. It can go cooking for another minute or two. It won't matter that much. It'll be just a little extra crispy. So I'm going to leave it at that, and urge you all to check these out if you're unfamiliar with these. Those are the albums that and again, I could have chosen so many other albums to include in this list, but then the list would have been 20 to 25 albums. And I needed to pick a number that will encapsulate pretty much my wide range of stuff I listen to, because I listen to such an eclectic bunch of music. I could have chosen something from Weird Al. I could have chosen something from Rush. I could have chosen something from so many other, Weezer, Lemonheads, even the Grapes of Wrath. I've been playing that a little often. So I'm going to just leave it here. I may make a part 2 to this, but probably not. I will be making my 4th part to my Montreal adventures very soon. I do want to continue with that. So I think before I ramble on a little bit more, I'm just going to leave it here and say, as always, be safe, take care. I will see you on the flip side, and please have a great day, evening, night, wherever you may be. Peace, everybody.